Before you even begin this story, make sure you're ready, because what you're about to hear will stay in your heart long after the video ends. Subscribe now, turn on your notifications, and prepare yourself for an emotional journey that will touch your soul and leave you speechless. The cameras were rolling again that afternoon, but the mood on set was nothing like before. There was a quiet tension in the air, a silence that even the director couldn't cut through. Xinfei sat alone in the corner of the studio, her eyes fixed on a single photograph resting on the table. It was a picture of Yu Menglong, smiling the way he used to when everything still felt simple, before the world became so heavy. Every part of that picture told a story, the warmth in his eyes, the laughter hidden behind that small grin, the spark that made everyone around him feel safe. Xinfei's hand trembled slightly as she reached for it. The moment her fingers touched the frame, her composure broke. No one expected her to cry, not today, not after all this time. But tears fell anyway, silent and unstoppable. Someone whispered her name softly, but she couldn't look up. She couldn't stop thinking about the last words Yu Menglong had said to her before he left the set that final evening. "Don't let the noise of this world change your heart," he had said. Those words echoed in her mind again and again. Dylan, who had arrived quietly, stood a few steps behind her, watching with sorrow in his eyes. He had seen Xingfei fight through every emotion, denial, anger, heartbreak, and now this deep longing that nothing could erase. Bai Lu was there too, standing near the window, trying to stay strong but unable to hold back her tears either. Xinfei took a deep breath and finally spoke, her voice shaking like the air itself was fragile. "I miss him every single day," she said. "Every time I walk past his chair on set, every time I hear his favorite song, every time I see the sky turning golden like it did that evening, I feel like he's still here, just out of reach." Her words filled the room with silence. Dylan looked at her and nodded slowly. He knew how close they had been, how Yu Menglong had been the anchor that held everyone together when things got rough. They had been through everything together, the long nights of rehearsals, the laughter after failed scenes, the shared dreams of creating something that would last forever. But forever doesn't always last. Bai Lu stepped closer, her voice soft but steady. "He'd be proud of you, Xinfei. You've carried his spirit in everything you do." Xinfei smiled faintly through her tears. "Sometimes I wish I could just talk to him one more time," she said. "There were so many things I never said. So many things I thought I'd have time for." The air grew heavy again. Outside the window, the city lights began to glow, and for a brief moment, the reflection of those lights shimmered against the photograph of Yu Menglong. It almost looked like he was smiling again, like he was there, watching over them. Dylan whispered quietly, "He never really left, Xinfei. Some people stay with us in ways the world can't see." The director didn't call cut. No one moved. It wasn't a scene anymore, it was real emotion, captured in the stillness of that moment. Xinfei closed her eyes and held the photo close to her heart. "He believed in all of us," she said softly. "He believed we could change the world through the stories we tell. Maybe that's what I'll keep doing, telling his story, keeping his light alive." And in that moment, the tears that fell were not just from sadness, but from something deeper, love, remembrance, and gratitude. The camera zoomed slowly, capturing the tremble in her hands, the glisten of her tears, the sincerity in her voice. As the lights dimmed, Dylan stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to face it alone anymore," he said. "We'll make sure the world remembers him. We'll finish what he started." Xinfei nodded silently. It wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of a promise to carry on the dream of someone who had given everything to make others smile. The video ended with a soft fade, the photograph of Yu Menglong resting on the table, surrounded by the quiet hum of the studio. Then the narrator's voice returned, gentle but powerful. "If you believe that love never truly fades, if you've ever lost someone who meant everything to you, then you understand Xinfei's pain. Subscribe now and share this story, so that his light continues to shine in every heart that listens." The music swelled, slow and emotional, as the screen turned black, leaving only one message glowing faintly at the center. Some stories never end. They just live on in the hearts of those who remember. The night after Xingfei's breakdown spread online, silence filled her apartment like a shadow she could not escape. The comments, the sympathy, the millions of views meant nothing. She sat by the window again, looking out at the same skyline she once shared with Yu Menglong. Every light reminded her of a promise they made, one that neither fame nor distance could erase. She picked up her phone and opened the last message he ever sent her. It was short, almost unfinished, but it carried a weight that her heart could barely hold. He had written, "No matter what happens, promise me you'll keep smiling." But she had not smiled since. That evening, Dylan called her. His voice was low and calm, but there was something heavy in it. He said he had just watched her interview, and he could not hold his emotions anymore. He told her that Yu Menglong had written something before he left, something none of them knew existed. It was a short letter hidden inside an old script they had filmed together. Xinfei froze. Her fingers trembled as Dylan's words sank into her. He said Bai Lu had found it accidentally while packing for another shoot. It was a letter written not for the world, not for the fans, but for her. Dylan read it slowly over the phone, and every line cracked the silence around her heart. "If someday I am gone, don't let your tears drown your laughter. The best part of me will always be watching you, even in the quiet moments when you think no one sees you." Her chest tightened. For the first time in months, she felt warmth instead of pain. She could almost hear his voice saying those words. The rain began to fall outside, soft and rhythmic, as if the world itself was crying along with her. Days passed, but Xingfei could not let it go. She went to the studio where she and Yu Menglong had first met. The room was dark and cold, filled with silent memories. The chair he always used was still there. She sat on it, her hand brushing over its surface, feeling the invisible presence that never left. Then Dylan and Bai Lu arrived. They did not speak at first. The three of them stood together in that empty studio, listening to the sound of the rain hitting the roof. Bai Lu finally broke the silence. She said softly that they should finish the project Yu Menglong had started, the one he never got to complete. It was not about fame or money anymore. It was about closure. For days they worked without rest, rewriting lines, rebuilding scenes, and capturing emotions that no script could describe. Every word felt like a whisper from the past, every take like a memory reborn. Xinfei cried through most of it, but she kept going. It was the only way she could say goodbye. When the final scene was done, the lights went off, and the silence returned. Dylan placed the last script page on the floor and whispered, "This is for you, brother." The next morning, the world woke up to a video uploaded on all platforms. It was titled, "For Menglong, Always." Within hours, it reached millions. The comments flooded in, not just from fans but from people who had never known him. Everyone felt the depth of their loss, the sincerity of their tribute, and the beauty of their friendship. In one of the final clips, Xinfei stood in front of a vast open field. The sun was setting behind her, painting the sky in gold and rose. She looked straight at the camera, her eyes red but steady, and said, "You taught me that love never ends. It just changes shape. Wherever you are, I know you're smiling now." The screen faded to black, and those words stayed glowing for a few seconds longer. The audience could feel her grief, her healing, and her final release. Later that night, Dylan and Bai Lu joined her at the riverside. The wind was soft, and the city lights reflected in the calm water. They sat in silence, knowing that nothing needed to be said anymore. Some bonds never fade. They just move beyond sight, beyond time. Xinfei smiled for the first time since his passing. It was small, fragile, but real. The camera captured that moment, and that single frame became the symbol of everything she had endured. The next day, she posted a short message online. It read, "For everyone who has ever lost someone they loved, remember, love does not die, it transforms." That post broke the internet. It trended in dozens of countries, touching the hearts of millions. Not because of fame, not because of drama, but because every person saw a reflection of their own pain, their own healing. From that day, Xingfei was no longer seen as the actress who cried on set. She was the woman who taught the world that grief can be beautiful when shared, and love can live forever even when someone is gone. As the days went on, Dylan and Bai Lu stood by her side. Together, they carried the memory of Yu Menglong not as a tragedy, but as a story of love, courage, and eternal connection. And as the final scene faded, a soft voice whispered in the background, "Some people never truly leave. They live in every heartbeat that remembers them."